Good afternoon, everyone. So today is the first day of presentation season 3, and on this first day, I'm going to present my presentation on characterizing both, like the character of Sandip and Nikhil, and the dichotomy of Gandhi and Tagore itself. So let's start. This is my personal information. So these are some points to ponder which I am going to discuss in today's presentation. Here you can see. So first is introduction of author. As you all know who is Rabindranath Tagore, so no need to explain anything. He was born on 1861 and he died in 1941, and he was a famous writer of Bengal. And with his translation of some of his poem, he became rapidly known in the West. In fact, his fame attained a luminant height, taking him across continent on the lectures, tours, and tours of friendship. For world, he became the voice of Indians' spiritual heritage, and for India, especially for Bengal, he became a great living institution. So these are some of his famous work like Gitanjali, Kabuliwala, and this Home and the World. And Rabindranath Tagore died on August 7, 1941. These are some key facts of novel Home and the World, author Rabindranath Tagore, published in 1960, setting early 20th century of India. Genre is fiction and novel. Major characters are Nikhil, Bimla, and Sandip. And themes like nationalism, identity, and gender relationships. So, this is the purpose of this presentation, exploring the ideologies contrast between Rabindranath Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi, analyzing how characters Sandeep and Nikhil represent these contrasting ideologies, examining short portions from the Home and the World. So, first is character sketch of Nikhil and Sandeep. So, according to Subrata Sada, the relationship between Sandeep and Nikhil, despite being good friend, is one of extreme duality. Although they are the male protagonist, the essential of their characters are bluntly contrasting from one another. One hand, Sandeep is a strong and aggressive character who is very much militant nationalist in his approach, and after that, on the other hand, Nikhil is a passive and mature thinker who is strongly against violence and extreme nationalism. Being a strong believer in rational thoughts and action, Nikhil believes that to worship my country as as a god is to bring a curse upon it. Whereas Nikhil embodies something larger than itself. Sandeep operates on his own motives by clocking them in the Swadeshi movement. Sandeep's nationalism is a fate of the rich and well-to-do people. So Sandeep's nationalism is for rich people or for himself only. The poor are only crushed beneath the weight of demand of the nationalism for the country's sake. The poor, like Panchu and Miraj, so these are some minor characters of the Home and the World, in the novel are ample proof of how the downtrodden are merely doubly explored in the wake of the old destruction in the name of nation. Nikhil, on the other hand, is on the wholly opposite of Sandeep. Through the character of Nikhil, Tagore highlights his concept of working for the nation, a positive and more vibrant endeavor for the country's development. Is presented through the portrayal of the character of Nikhil. So he was a he has a positive attitude towards the nationalism or towards this whole thing of freedom. And another hand, the Sandeep, who is the violent people, who is he was fight for this nationalism for his own sake. Um, Nikhil's way of nation building is by working for the country's development. His belief is, I quote, "Let us dedicate our lives to remove the root of this sorrow in our country." I unquote. So now, ideologies of Gandhi and Tagore. So these both are the prominent political writers, or we can say nationalists of India. Gandhi was an ardent nationalist. He took up the path of political struggle with the support of the mass, and Tagore was an ardent universalist, condemned naked nationalism with his vision of universal human unity, of his equation of nation with the universe. Tagore believes that in Gandhi's program of a boycott, there was nothing except the blind faith of people for Gandhi's concept. According to Tagore, the question of using or burning British made clothes is one of the economists of decide. Moreover, for a country which had inadequate clothing, such as boycott was nothing but pure superstition. Tagore did not agree to follow Gandhi blindly because the poorer section who could not afford, like the richer landlords, the luxury of burning clothes. They were forcibly made to burn their clothes and the cost of their jobs and wages and led them to the brink of starvation. So, according to this. Manjula, she is a Redivari Manjula. She's an author, and she's saying in article this Gandhi's ideology is to burning and boycotting the British clothes and burning them is for rich people, like Sandip were doing. And according to Tagore, he did not agree with Gandhi's ideology. Like Nikhil was disagree with Sandip's ideology. He was saying that poor are suffering in these things. Like they don't have this kind of rich money, or rich people have this luxury. Poor are, doesn't have this kind of luxury to burn their clothes. According to this writer, I quote, I believe it to be my duty to fight the habit of blind obedience. So this quotation is by Tagore. Secondly, I feel that the cloth to be burnt is not mine. It belongs to people who are sorely in need of it. He who seems to be doing an act of sacrifices through these incendiaries have other sources of supplies. But those who are really hit cannot strive out of doors because of their nakedness. So yeah, he was oppressing Gandhi's boycott movement. This there is no doubt there at a time the two were found to be miles apart from each other, but at the same time it was also the spirit of truth which made them collaborate in the common task, and their minds were equal. This is the ideology of Mahatma Gandhi. Like he was believing in non-violence, though he were supporting the boycott and burning the clothes, like Sandhi. And Rabindranath ideology was towards humanistic approach. Like he was not supporting this burning clothes and all the things because poor are suffering from for that, and he was approaching humanistic. His approach was humanistic, he was approaching this for nationalism. Sandip the Gandhi perspective. According to Neha Raghav, Tagore is the present novel present two ways of working for one's nation. Sandip's nationalism seems to have a great analogy to Bookman's description. Through Sandip, Tagore delineates his criticism to destruction nationalism. So, in Sandip's characters, we also find that he has a fake nationalism in his own traits. And Sandip is an unscrubbed man who boasts of his love for the country. He is a major propaganda of the Swadesi movement and wants to arouse the common people in support to Swadesi cause. Sandeep takes a large sum of money from Bimlas for this also. His ramshackle corruption known no bounds, and he uses the sum thus acquires through the theft for personal gains and comfort. The lust of money and selfishness of the movement activist is critiqued by the author. Sandeep represents himself as a realist, one who brutally confronts the world. He criticizes Nikhil for how he delights in a misty vision of his world. Sandip describes those two shares his views as a iconoclast of meter, and he and his fellow insolates are the flesh eater of the world. We have teeth and nails. We pursue the grab and fear. Tear. So this was by Atkinson, David Atkinson. So here is one video. In this video is from Satyajit Ray's movie Ghare Bahir, and in this video, Sandip's ideology was shown, like his how he was thinking about nationalism and how he was working. So in this, like Sandeep's ideology was that, like they were burning goods or clothes for their country. For Sandeep, the end justifies the means, and he argues that virtually any human actions can be executed if the stakes are sufficiently high. This is the only fundamental principle or a principle of existence. I quote, nature surrenders herself. He indicates, but only to the robbers, for she delights in this forcefully desire. So this quote is by Sandeep, and in the David Atkinson's article. Sandeep is not, however, an unintelligent or unaware man, and it is this which makes him especially frightened. Sandeep, for example, knows that Nikhil is a man of principle of the relationship. He says, then again there is Nikhil, though he be laughed at him as I may. I cannot get rid of ideas that he is my friend. At first, I give no thoughts to his point of view, but of late it has begun to shame and hurt me. I unquote. Sandeep recognizes the flaws in his own thinking rather than confront these flaws. However, he preservely chooses to ignore them. The external pressures of mass action thereby sweeps aside any sense of moral consequences. Nikhil the Tagore's perspective. So, in this novel, Tagore himself presented through the character of Nikhil. So, there are some ideologies which matches to Tagore with Nikhil. Early in the novel, Nikhilesh, who often function as a mouthpiece for Tagore's view in the novel, says that though he loves his country, nation, he cannot place nationalism over humanity, like Tagore does. Reflecting Tagore's view, which espouse internationalism and humanitarianism, Nikhilesh is not understood by his political immature wife and ignored by his self-service and uncorrupt friend. Nikhil, on the other hand, is on the whole opposite of Sandeep. Through the character of Nikhil, Tagore highlights his concept of working for the nation. A positive and more vibrant endeavor for the country's development is presented through the portrayal of character of Nikhil. Nikhil, who belongs to rich landlording class, is in no way similar to other. Like he was a landlord, he was rich, though he was not supporting this fake nationalism. Their poor are suffering. He knows the bad consequences of violence used in the name of nationalist movement by Sandeep and his fellow workers. Where Sandeep believes in division and violence, Nikhil believes in the doctrine of love and freedom of choice. So here is also another video from Satyajit Ray's film, and in this short video, it's shown that how Nikhil trying to convince or trying to explain his ideology. So in this video they were asking him like, you are not going to burn your clothes and goods from the forest. He was saying that, no, I'm not going to burn that because it is not belong to me. And another question were raised that, you are rich, then why are you not doing that? And then Nikhil were answering them like, this is not my personal agenda, this is for poor people who are suffering from this Swadeshi movement and other things. Nikhil is the enlightened humanist who asserts that truth cannot be imposed. Freedom is necessary for choice and is critically to individual growth and fulfillment. It is it is this freedom which he insists in necessary if he and Bimla are truly to known on another. While Nikhil the Tagore himself initially supports Swadeshi, he recognized the value of the outside world. And he looks to serve a great cause and mere national interest. I am willing, he insists, to serve my country, but my worship I reserve for rights which is far greater than my country. To worship my country as a good God is to bring a curse upon it. So this is a quotation by Nikhil. For Nikhil, however, it is not that the world is chaos. Rather, each individual is given the freedom and opportunity to participate in the limitless creativity of world. Let's conclude this presentation. In conclusion, Rabindranath Tagore's novel Home and the World offer a profound exploration of ideological dichotomy between two Indians' most prominent figure, Mahatma Gandhi and Tagore himself, through the characters of Sandip and Nikhil. The novel masterfully captures the philosophical and political currents of its time and provides a rich tapestry of ideas and contrasting perspective. Like through the character of Sandip, the fervent nationalist leader who witnesses an embodiment of some of the more extreme and radical element of the India's nationalist movement, reminiscent of representation of Mahatma Gandhi's advocacy of for direct action and civil obedience as a mean to attain political independence. Conversely, Nikhil, a character characterized by rationality, modernity, and a commitment to peacefully method of reform, align more closely with Tagore's own belief in the importance of individual freedom, education, and personal growth. There are distinction views on nationalism presented in the novel. First is from Nikhil, second is from Bimla, and third is from Sandeep. So these are references which I have used. Thank you so much. Now I am open for a question. You can ask me question.
Drashti. Although Sandip and Nikhil shared the same enthusiasm for the nationalist movement, what, in your opinion, could be the reason for Sandip's more aggressive nationalism?
Okay. So, like you were asking about the aggression of Sandeep's towards nationalism, is that he was doing for the sake of his own personal motive, and he wants to, like, he wants a political power, and he also showcased by Tagore as a radical nationalist, and he wants to be a leader, but there is a no chances of being a leader to suffer someone's life. Yeah, so Sandeep's aggressiveness can be the reason for his political power and his leadership, his strive for leadership.
Drishti, my question is that what impact does the ideological con- conflict between Sandeep and Nikhil have on the themes and narrative of the novel?
Okay, so the narrative of the novel is like first person and multiple narrative as well, and the impact of ideologies of these two character is the clash between the tradition and modernity, and the pursuit of freedom. Like they have different kind of ideologies. Nikhil has this modernity and this like logical ideology of him, and Sandeep has radical ideology, and he was doing this for his own sake. And this complexity of relationship, like they were friends, but though there were two different ideologies. And yeah, that's the thing. Like themes of this novel is also nationalism and Swadeshi movement, and also the relationship of these three characters. Yeah, I hope you satisfied with my answer. Thank you so much.